Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and I hope you are doing fantastic, as always. I am doing fantastic myself, and yeah, there's that. So, I wanted to talk with you today about not just consciousness, but your field of consciousness. And I like to refer to it as kind of your sphere of influence, although I realize that in a lot of ways, it's that term is used for other things, meaning someone's sphere of influence may be their reach, meaning what they're able to influence in a community or in an industry or whatever. But what I'm more referring to is your sphere around yourself. Now, if we are unaware or kind of unconscious of our field, it is said that it is about 10 feet in every direction of your body. So it's a sphere of about 10 feet, or like your bubble. It's about a 10 feet bubble all the way in every direction. And that can be expanded, but if we're just kind of unaware of it or just kind of leaving it as is, it's typically about that 10 feet. Now, that can kind of one way that we can demonstrate that is there, in that, like, when someone walks up behind you and there's no way you could have known. I mean, there was, there's no sound and no shadows or whatever. There's no way you could have known that person walked up behind you. But once they get within a certain range of you, you can just kind of sense it. And you may not even realize that you sensed it, but you did. It's that kind of thing where you just kind of, you just, for whatever reason, you turn around and you look, and there they are. It's like, oh, there you are. And that is just an example of your sphere of influence, or your sphere of consciousness, of awareness. And I've even realized that, it kind of happens when things are falling. Like if something were to fall on you, granted, it's not quick enough where we can maybe avoid getting hit by this falling object, but have you ever noticed if something falls on you, maybe just a fraction of a second before it hits you, you kind of, you kind of sensed it. You may not even have even been aware of it because it all happened so fast. But if you really think back on it, it's like, that did happen. I did kind of, for like a tenth of a second before that hit me, I kind of tensed up. That is because it was inside your sphere of your consciousness, your bubble, right before it hit you right over the head or whatever, right? Yeah. Oh, by the way, loved ones, please take 1 second, help me out with the algorithm for this here channel, and give me a like, thumbs up, right? Maybe even share with someone. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, I would very much appreciate it if you would. And yeah, thank you for that in advance. And if you've already subscribed, very much thank you. I love you, and I will continue to do this. So, anyway, I hope I don't knock that up. That could knock something over on me, right? So let's not bump into that again. Anyway, loved ones, so your sphere of consciousness, they say, can be expanded indefinitely. So it can be expanded out as big as the universe, theoretically, I suppose. And then we can be like, well, so what you're saying is, if I could do that, then I could explore the cosmos. Yeah, in theory, that's true. Of course, one thing that we're not real good at tuning into that sphere of awareness or consciousness. And I believe that is probably one of our main reasons for being here in this realm, in this lifetime, is to learn how to hone that skill, learn how to use that skill. And then I also know that it's like, well, if my higher self already knows all of these things outside of this, then why do I need to come in here and learn it? That's a very valid question. To which my answer would be, well, I think it's more about just experience and learning, because all the experiences that you're going to have on your way to understanding, on your way to insight, it's kind of like they say, it's not the destination, it's the journey that matters, right? So that's what I believe would be the purpose of that. It's like, well, if my higher self already knows how to do all these things, then why do I need to come in here and learn how to do it? Yeah, I don't believe the learning. Well, the learning process, I believe, is the important part. But I do believe that we are here to gain some insight, to gain some understanding, some wisdom, some maturity. And that is for what purpose? I believe for the purpose of whatever comes next. Whatever adventure we embark on after we finally come out of this construct once and for all. Meaning you may have had many, many lifetimes here. But once we finally have like, okay, I've gained all the knowledge or all the whatever in that I can, now it's time to move on. And that's, I believe, the ultimate goal in this lifetime. I do believe that there is a quickening effect going on with the collective. There are a lot of us who are gaining a lot of insight and gaining a lot of spiritual knowledge at a very rapid clip right now. Why? Because I believe that it's like, look, this is do or die time. We got to get out of here. Okay? We got to move on. Now, there are those who are going further and further into their slumber. But maybe this is, I don't know. We're all on our own path. We're all going to get where we're going, to the same place, back to the source. Just in different, everybody's got a different path to take. So anyway, I'm not going to get into it over everyone else who is not pursuing their spiritual awakening. That's their choice. But anyway, but with our sphere of consciousness, also when you go, let's say you go into a room full of people. And everything's fine, everything's good. And someone laughs, and then everybody around them starts laughing, and it's like, well, I don't even know why I laughed, because I don't know why that person was laughing. Laughter is contagious, that kind of thing. Lots of things are contagious when it comes to your influence, right? Because when your field around you is vibrating in a certain way, then it's going to influence the bubbles around everyone else's bubbles. And it's kind of a pull and a pushing effect. It's like my bubble may be doing this, yours may be doing that. Our bubbles are going to influence each other. But then let's say somebody comes in the room who is really particularly just in a crappy mood. They're really just, Debbie Downer, big time. And they come in the room and they affect the people in their immediate vicinity. And those people kind of go, their moods kind of go in the toilet, and they don't even know why. And so theirs begins to affect, and before long, it's just kind of infected the entire room, right? Until that person leaves, and then maybe the room comes back up. And I realize that it's like, well, yeah, okay, Matt, if one person in a very low vibrational state comes into the room, well, what happens if someone in a very high vibrational state comes in the room? Wouldn't that have the same effect? Or couldn't that negate the person, the Debbie Downer? And if your name's Debbie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Debbie. Anyway, so wouldn't that then negate the Debbie Downer and possibly even bring her mood up? Yeah, yes. Yes, it would. Also, so I say it's a kind of a push and a pulling effect. And with everything just being all about vibration, and that is your vibratory field, and yes, you can expand it and contract it and things like that. This is something that's not really my forte, but it's more the lovely Kitty's forte. We've got crystals all over this house, right? And why? Because it affects the vibratory field. They are higher vibrational than other things. Like, these glasses are most likely very low vibration. They're just plastic, and there you go. Anyway, but I gotta have them so that I can see what I'm doing, because if not, that's bad. That's a bad look. So bad things are gonna happen if I get in a car and don't have something for my eyeballs. Yeah. Anyway, loved ones. So if we expand our consciousness, how I originally got on this thought path, and I was going to do a video about how you can expand your consciousness indefinitely, because there is what we call Because when we think of technology, right? We think of, and I real ultimately got on this because I was talking about simulation theory and all of that. But it's like, so you're saying this is a computer simulation, or that there's that and this and whatever. But we got to realize there's always going to be something that we're not familiar with. There may be a technology that we are not familiar with. In other words, most people, and I do say most people think, when they think in terms of technology, they think of buttons and dials and wires and circuits, just gadgets. That to us, that's usually what we think of when we think of the word technology. But there also could be spiritual technology. Yes, and mind is a technology all on its own. Once we've learned how to use those things, right? Once we've learned how to expand our consciousness and use that as a means of exploration, for example, or as a means of anything that we are able to expand our consciousness field and bring to us or explore or whatever. See, a lot of people will expand their consciousness and maybe tap into what they call the Akashic field. That's kind of that's the field of everything, of all knowledge. And I'm not some expert on the Akashic records, but I am familiar with it. And how that, a great example of that is like with inventions. Have you ever noticed how two people in opposite ends of the world can pretty much simultaneously come up with the same invention or the same whatever story, same thoughts? That is the only explanation for that, is that they tapped into the field. And this would be the same field that Nikola Tesla said that he tapped into for most of his inventions. Nikola Tesla said he said that he would go into a meditative state, and of course he didn't have the word download at the time, but what he was referring to was a download. And he would go into a meditative state and he would come back with this invention downloaded into his mind, all the way down to every single nut and bolt. He saw it working in his mind. When people would say, "How do you know this is going to work?" He said, "Because I saw it working in my mind." Okay, well, that's that. See, to the regular person, is like that. Yeah, well, what's that? That didn't mean anything. He had tapped into the field, the Akashic field, the Akashic record, or the field of knowledge, the field of everything, and brought back with him. That's how Nikola Tesla, that's how lots of people have done. Most people have done it and don't even realize that's what they've done. They come up with some ingenious idea or a story or whatever the case may be. But they bring back all of these things from the field, and they don't realize that is their consciousness expanding and bringing it back. And I guess, yes, your higher self could fetch that for you and download it into you. These are things that I believe that in this lifetime we are learning. We are experiencing the quickening effect, if you will. Quickening of consciousness, quickening of expansion of consciousness. And I realize there are a lot of people in humanity that are very much not on board with any of that. Okay. That's very true. But, and while there are a lot of those who are waking up, who are having spiritual awakenings, there are people who are going the opposite direction. And that's okay. There's no judgment, right? We're all going back to the source. We're all going back to the same place. Now, how we get there, it's going to be a lot of different paths. So there is that. Anyway, loved ones, let me know, if you would, in the comments, what you believe your consciousness field is. Is it your true self? It would explain how when people say you're not like a body with a soul in it, you are a soul with a body in it. Right? That would explain things like that. So anyway, if you would, in the comments section, please tell me what your thoughts are on that. And again, please hit the like button, subscribe, all that. Please help me out with the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, I am originally a audio podcaster. audio podcast is My Sober Addiction. Yes, it's about drug addiction originally. And I did kind of get off on talking about this more metaphysical type stuff. And I'm like, well, I need to kind of bring it back to addiction because there are a lot of people who are new to sobriety who do need that. So the podcast is kind of reverting back more to that. So it's like, well, but that's why I love these videos because it's like I can talk about all the other things I want to talk about. So there's that. But anyway, loved one, please give me a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff. I am doing live streams typically on Saturday night. Tentatively, I'm going tentatively, like 10 o'clock Eastern time. So I may do 9 o'clock. More. I'm not that part. I am not exactly sure about. That's why I use the word tentatively. So anywho, that's what I got, loved ones. I love you, and I will be back directly.